Hello, Hello, everybody. This is the Pocket Passer. I'm your host, Randy White. I hope all of you are having a fantastic day. I know I am. In case you haven't noticed, I have a chair to the left of me. Once again, I have yet another guest. It's my good friend, Connor Rives. Welcome him back to the show. Welcome back, my good friend.
What's up, Randy?
Last time he was on, we talked about the potential of an Aaron Rodgers trade. This was before Rodgers was traded, and we talked about what we'd like our teams to do in the draft. So now, a few months later, he's back on the show, and we're going to go over our AFC West record predictions, because as you can see, he is a Raiders fan, as we talked about in the last video. We're going to go over our playoff picture, our Super Bowl predictions, and our award predictions for the season. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take the reins with the AFC West.
Yeah, so the AFC West is such an interesting division this year because any of the teams could honestly make the playoffs, like in best case scenario. Last year made the notorious take that the Chiefs would miss the playoffs, have a losing record, which this year I'm going to completely go in the opposite direction.
We're both stupid.
Yes. Bad decision making on our end, but this year I'm going the complete opposite direction. I have them as the 1 seed, 13-4. I think legitimately like three of their losses are just against their division. Like I can see them just dropping division games and that being it. After them, I have the Chargers, and I have them falling in as the 5 seed. I think they're such an interesting team now with Kellen Moore in the mix, with the way that the offense is going to run. Put Quentin Johnston in there as well. Drafted some nice guys on the defensive side. So I think their record isn't going to look better, but they will look better as a team.
Yeah.
Then I have the Raiders falling in at 8-9. I think we're such an interesting team because we could fall anywhere from having 3 wins to 11 or 12 and making the playoffs. So we're just such a weird team because we have a lot of talent at premium positions, but then we have a lot of holes in the other spots. So
like secondary.
Yeah, like the secondary's a little weak. We got
that Patrick Mahomes happily picks apart every single season.
Sure, but we added Marcus Peters. Nate Hobbs is going to slide back into the slot. When he was in the slot his rookie year, he was terrific. When we put him on the outside last year, he struggled. So he's back in the slot where he belongs, where he likes to be. So I think our secondary will be better. 8-9 is me saying that we are a better team than last year, and we will actually see that improvement, but not enough to where it really matters. Take us right out of the Caleb Williams race and put us right in no man's land once again. Classic Raiders draft strategy.
Stay mediocre forever.
Hey, commitment to excellence. But it's not. It's not excellent. So
commitment to mediocrity, yeah.
So then at 4, I have the Broncos at 7-10. I could see them and the Raiders flipping. I cannot see with the packed AFC the Broncos making the playoffs this year. I think they will definitely be improved with Sean Payton in the mix. Russell Wilson will look much better, but I don't think that they'll win enough games to be even in the mix for the playoffs. But I think the division will all be, it'll be very competitive, and any one of these teams can realistically beat any team in the NFL any given Sunday.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I agree with your Chiefs pick. Honestly, I agree with the first 2 in order. So I have the Chiefs going 14-3, winning the division, and as I talked about in a previous video, being the 1 seed. And I mean, we're both idiots for not picking them, and I kind of feel like we're almost in like a Alcoholics Anonymous meeting right here. Where we're like, we messed up. I had an addiction, but I'm here to admit that I had an addiction, and my addiction was picking the Chiefs to suck. But I'm doing better. This week, I picked them to do good. So it's week by week improvement, you know? But I just feel like the Chiefs at 14-3 is the right spot. I mean, they're somewhere within, honestly, their floor is 12 wins. Patrick Mahomes proved to all of us that he doesn't need a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. As long as he has, a top 3, the 3rd best connection in the NFL at Travis Kelce, cue the Colin Cowherd graphic. But as long as he has that elite connection, Chiefs are going to be fine. And obviously, as long as Chris Jones stays. Now, Chris Jones holding out could be a huge concern. And if he does, in fact, sit out 8 weeks, like I think he said he was willing to do, then they're not going to be the 1 seed. They'll lose games that they would have otherwise won without Chris Jones. He's too good of a pass rusher, and he's kind of the heart and soul of that defense. So, wait and see with that. But assuming he stays, 14-3. Chargers, I have them going 10-7 and just barely missing the playoffs. I just feel like they're a very talented team. They're constantly injured, and I mean, once again, I've talked about this in a previous video. I just don't love the coaching. I really just don't. I don't have faith in Brandon Staley, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Brandon Staley, I don't have faith. I mean, we talked about his play calling that almost cost them the Browns game. And by the way, if they lose that game, they don't make the playoffs. And he would have probably been fired within 3 hours of that game had Cade York made that field goal. You know what I'm talking about? Where they went for on 4th and 2 on their own 45 with a minute left for no reason.
Yep.
Dumbest play call I've ever seen. I've talked about that enough over the course of many videos. So I'm going to skip by that. I have the Broncos going third. Broncos, another team I have narrowly missing the playoffs. They'll be much improved from last year, namely the offense. I mean, you look at the offense last year, had they gone and scored, 18 points in every game, they would have gone, I think it was 13-4. Their defense was fantastic last year and was routinely giving up 18 points or less in every single game. And the Broncos offense just simply, not only could they not score, but they couldn't move the ball. Javonte Williams is coming back healthy, and Sean Payton's going to be having a big factor, hopefully, on that offense. Obviously, that's what they hired him to do, besides trash-talking the previous coaching staff. They namely hired him to improve the current state of the team. So assuming he does that, Broncos should be better. I have them going 9-8 and being a fringe, potential playoff contender.
And don't forget, they made drastic improvements on the O-line, spending big money in free agency, as well as going and getting a guy in Samaje Perine, who was a terrific receiving back for the Bengals last year.
He was.
Pair him with Javonte Williams, keep both of them healthy. Classic Sean Payton 2 running back system, and both of them are going to have terrific years.
Samaje Perine's almost like a better Nyheim Hines.
Yes.
Nyheim Hines is a better returner, but in terms of versatility and being a good receiving back, I'd say very much so he's like a better Nyheim Hines. I mean, you're not really going to use him between the tackles, but you can on occasion. He's definitely got more strength than Nyheim Hines, but as far as, you use him outside, throw some swing passes to him, and he's a good route runner. And now I do have last in the division. I have the Raiders going 6-11. To me, I mean, it's just messy. I don't know. I mean, they have, like you said, very good players at many positions. They have a good receiving core. I mean, Devontae Adams, arguably the best receiver in football. Hunter Renfrow, I expect to have a bounce back year. All kinds of mishaps last year, including injuries. Jacoby Myers. They have solid pieces at skill positions. Josh Jacobs just led the league in rushing yards. He's a very good player. He's going to be back. The offensive line is good. Jimmy Garoppolo is a run-after-catch merchant. So, they got good route runners that can get open and get some separation. They can just get the ball in their hands. So, he's honestly an overhated quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo gets a lot of flack because he sold a game-winning throw to Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl, and among other reasons, missing passes in moments when you can't miss passes. And that's why even if I think the Raiders do have a better record than what I have them going, they're not going to do anything postseason-wise because they just don't have that kind of team. And, history shows Patrick Mahomes owns the entire AFC West, and the Raiders certainly are no exception to that rule. So I don't see any teams getting out of the Chiefs' shadow. The Chargers are the one that has a chance, but the Chargers like to blow leads to the Chiefs in the fourth quarter over and over and over again. So as long as they
to a lot of people.
Yes, almost the Browns.
And the Jaguars.
The Jaguars. Oh my God! What, 27-0? Yeah, 27-0. That was impressive. And not only that, but then committing the personal foul that allows the Jaguars to go for 2 in the playoff game when instead of overtime, now they lose by 1 because what did Dre Bosa do? Slam his helmet or something on the ground?
Yep.
Yeah. It's I understand that the call, he was blatantly being held, but also keep your composure and you have a chance in overtime. So there's that. To me, the AFC West is it's a division that lives in the shadow of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. That was proven to us, I think, last year. I don't think anything changes anytime soon. So that's where I stand with the AFC West. And obviously, for the most part, you agree.
Yeah, and, like I said, I could see the Broncos and the Raiders. They're going to be on the bottom. it is Chiefs, Chargers, and then Broncos or Raiders. Like,
Yeah.
Anybody who says anything differently is really trying to convince themselves, or they just want to be different. That's just the reality. And
I think that's a lot to ask of Sean Payton to clean that much up in his first year there. Like, that would be a ton of turnaround.
Yeah.
And it's Sean Payton, so like it's possible, and Russell Wilson was great for a long time until last year. So it's possible that last year was a fluke, and I'd like to think that Russell Wilson's performance last year was a fluke.
I
like
would
to
too.
think that because Russell Wilson's a guy I've really liked for a number of years. He's been a fantastic player. I argued he was the best quarterback in the league a few years ago when he started off on pace to smash the touchdown record. And I also said that he wasn't going to crush the touchdown record and that offense was going to die because guys were just running wide open. And it was like, okay, defenses will fix that. Like, the first 6 weeks of the season, Russell Wilson would scramble around, and then DK Metcalf would be in the middle of the field, 40 yards downfield, and there wouldn't be a DB within 25 yards of him. And I would just be sitting there like, huh? What happened? And then what happened? All of a sudden, Seattle's defense went from the worst scoring defense in the league to like one of the best. And the offense went from one of the best scoring offense in the league to one of the worst. That was a funny year. But getting incredibly sidetracked right now. Point is, I think Russell Wilson's year last year was more fluke than anything. I think he goes back to being at least close-ish to his normal self. And if he does, the Broncos are going to be a formidable opponent. They'll probably beat the Chiefs at least once because that defense does give Mahomes fits majority of the time they play them. And they'll probably beat a lot of good teams. This will be a team that'll be on upset watch most of the year. So, don't sleep on the Broncos. If they do, they'll probably punch you in the mouth early and win. But it's a team that they have a lot to fix. So, playoffs after being as bad as they were last year, that's a heavy turnaround.